Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is your tarot reading for the week ahead. This week, or around this time, we have the new moon in Aquarius. The reason I mention that is because you have the High Priestess card, literally with the crescent moon at her feet, and then we have the Three of Swords, the Lord of Sorrow. The new moon in Aquarius is going to bring up for a lot of people uh emotional change, emotional, in some ways, purging, but these emotional things that have perhaps been laying at the bottom of the well, so to speak, coming up to the surface, and the need for us to be quite independent within that because it's in the sign of Aquarius. Part of the reason that I mention this is you've got the next three cards as a bit of a triptych. Now, curiously enough, before I laid the cards, I kind of knew this card was going to show itself, and it is the Devil card, which sounds absolutely terrifying. I know it's a card that a lot of people fear. I personally don't. I think it's a very, very helpful card. But the Devil card rules the sign of Capricorn. So we have to look at, okay, what are the aspects, the characteristics, the traits of Capricorn that are at play here? Now, I don't mean to give you a hard time by any means, but one of the shadow sides of Capricorn can sometimes be this obsession with status, wealth, and position. And this seems to be indicated very, very strongly with the King of Wands. The King of Wands is often the visionary. He's the energy that likes to take charge, likes to take command, likes to take leadership. Whether this is there's going to be a bit of a power struggle or a power balance, or you're going to feel slightly under the cosh of somebody else's dictatorship. That could be on a very subtle level of your bosses being a bit of a nuisance. I was trying to look for a polite word there. Or more of a global scale, that you're feeling slight power dynamics, particularly the imbalances of power dynamics going on. Or on the flip side, are you trying to take command, take control unnecessarily? Are you, dare I say it, bossing people around a little bit much, or expecting other people to behave or act in a way that you want them to? If so, that might not necessarily be conducive with the best outcome. I also say this in part because you've got the Nine of Pentacles. Now, the Nine of Pentacles, the Lord of Material Gain, is usually great. It's the sign of enjoying the finer things in life. It's wanting for nothing. It typically is very, very, I don't like using this word, positive, in quote unquote. The fact that it is appearing in combination with the Devil represents, as I mentioned before, a what's the word that I'm looking for? When you're a preoccupation with material things. Whether you're going to find these anxieties of what is my status, in both a local sense, in a wider sense, how am I being seen? Do I want more power? Do I want more responsibility? Am I craving more financial stability? Am I looking to the material world to bring me a sense of security? Now, you're not alone on this. There's a great overlap between what I'm saying to you and Aries. So if you've got both Sun, Moon, and Rising in Aries and Capricorn, unfortunately, you may be feeling this want and this need for material security more than most. There are invariably going to be power struggles this week, power dynamics this week, but more so, I really encourage you to look at and examine, what am I craving? What am I yearning for in terms of status, in terms of how I am positioned either within a company, within the home, within friendship groups? How am I being seen? And that, because of the energy of the new moon in Aquarius and the Three of Swords, may bring up for you slightly uncomfortable feelings and some slightly comfortable emotions. Again, you're not alone on this. This is something that I've been saying to Leo too. There's lots of people that it's going to bring up for us this week, slightly unsettling feelings. What is reassuring, however, is that these things are asking to be examined. They're asking to be looked at. So it's thinking, well, why do I want this particular status? What do I think it's going to bring me? Or why do I want that particular thing? Or why do I want more money, for instance? If you can look at your why, that is going to give you invaluable information as to why some of these anxieties are bringing about. Partly it could be, okay, what can I do about it? What can I do to empower myself in a better way? Or it could show you, actually, my intention, the reason, the thrust behind wanting some of these things actually probably isn't that enlightened. It probably isn't best suited to me. Remember that the Three of Swords is always about growth. We have to remember, are the swords going in or are they coming out? Therefore, you are being invited to examine some of these more difficult emotions that are coming up, because they will show you things that need to be understood. That is what new moons do. They clear the way, they bring to the surface what needs to be examined, and this is no exception. It's not necessarily a bad week, but it is a week that you may find that you're acting in somewhat quite impulsively, or you're acting in quite an anxious way because you're trying to sustain or maintain your perceived positions within things. And this may play out in a very subtle way of, well, I've always been really good at this, so I've got to continue being really good at this. Or it could be in a slightly more gross way, as I spoke about before, of power dynamics and power struggles. So don't be surprised if you're arguing with your boss this week. I'm not saying do that. I'm saying quite the reverse. Or that you're finding that there are vying for attentions and vying for dynamics within all interpersonal relationships. The more that you're able to recognize, actually, why am I getting so attached to this? This is what the devil represents, attachments. The more useful this can be. So it can be a very, very useful week if used correctly. So that is my reading for you this week, Capricorn. Be sure to check out your rising sign and moon sign and your sun sign. If you're not sure how to do that, check the pinned comments below. Be sure to subscribe and like. It encourages me to keep creating content like this. But until next week, have a really, really useful week and an enlightening week, and I shall see you then. Bye for now.